What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk a little bit about Donkey Kong Bonanza. Not necessarily a game I would normally talk about, but, that's kind of the point. So, I have the Switch 2, loving Mario Kart World, right? But this is a pretty sizable game. You think of July, and July tends to be one of the slowest months in the gaming year, if not, honestly, the slowest month in the gaming year. And there's a few I'm into. Ninja Gaiden Ragebound is probably the big one. I think it's the last day of July. Early on, you got Patapon coming back. That's freaking awesome. And then you have Tony Hawk. But really, besides that, Donkey Kong is there, and it's just never really been a game that I've paid too much attention to. So I wanted to fix that, and I just wanted to, kind of express my feelings in this video. I've watched the Nintendo Direct. That was, I think, 9-10 days ago by the time you guys are seeing this video. And I'm just going back, and I'm watching people play it, watching the trailers again. I think I watched the original trailer, and that's all I did, back a couple months ago for this game. And the game does look awesome. Okay, let's be real. It was always, with the Switch 2, like I just said, me having Mario Kart World, I kind of wanted to wait. Like the games I was expecting myself to buy would be when they finally announced the release date for Metroid Prime 4. I'm there. That's a day one get. It would have been a day one get on the Switch and Switch 2, whatever, right? And then even Pokemon, I would say Legends Z to A, I'm planning on getting that, and probably planning on getting the $70 edition, right, which I think is the Switch 2 edition versus the $60 Switch 1 one. That was kind of my plan. That was literally my plan, was to have Pokemon, Mario, and Metroid, and call it a good, solid first year, for the Switch 2, and plan for the future of a 3D Mario or whatever. But Donkey Kong kind of looks awesome, and I am a big platformer guy. I think I saw previews of this game, and somebody talked about the quality of the game being up there with, like, Astro Bot. That was the first thing I would say that made me say, all right, again, I was thinking of skipping this game, but I just saw a comparison to Astro, even if it's just quality, right? Because then you watch it, and that's what I've been doing for the past, hour or so, behind the scenes here. And the game really has given me, recent Legend of Zelda vibes, right? I've even seen, the comments, too. People are calling this the Tears of the Kingdom, for Donkey Kong. The big thing is the destruction. But you know what? I dig it. I dig the idea of, it's got 1,000 different collectibles. It's got the enemy types. You can transform into a couple different versions that each can do, unique abilities. This is, it's a platformer. I think kind of a platformer at heart, at least, again, in terms of bosses and enemies and kind of different stages and variations of your own characters. A lot of that stuff does scream platformer, and the game itself is kind of like this open sandbox, right? It's an open world-ish game where you basically have these levels and you're mining down, right? You're trying to get to the core, and every time you do it, I think you defeat a boss, and that's how you get from, say, level 1 to level 2, and it's another open world area. And then in that open world area, go nuts, right? Again, collectibles, enemies, secrets, and basically mine with your fists, right? And that is something that, again, I guess they showed that in the first trailer, so maybe I wasn't paying too much attention, but watching the Nintendo Direct of this game specifically was like, oh my dear God, you could mine down to the center of the level. I watched gameplay from the Nintendo Treehouse months ago where they basically almost inadvertently punched their way through it. They entered one side, came out the other, right? And it's like, my God, what you can do in this game. And I think, Zelda is a very special game, but those two games, the most recent Zeldas, my wife played a lot of them, but I actually didn't. And maybe it's just, it wasn't necessarily my style, the whole open worlds, and then you could do everything, but then mixed in with the style of what they did with Zelda. I actually think I'm a little bit more drawn to this one, where it's in a similar vein, it's kind of do whatever you want. It's not to the most recent level of the last Zelda game, but it's hey, you want to break apart a rock to then destroy an entire rock? Go ahead. The first thing I thought of when watching, I think they showed it, right? There's this huge rock in the Nintendo Direct, and they said you could literally obliterate it if you want. You don't have to, but you could. I feel like that's something I would do. I feel like I would literally mine the entire world, where it's just completely gone. You'll find everything that way, I feel like, right? And then you'll just go to the next area. So I don't know, it looks like a lot of fun. The $70 thing is definitely something that has prevented me from thinking about it all too seriously. And as I think I was even live streaming and telling people about my thoughts on this game, and I was saying, it's not even to me the July period. July is pretty empty. This game actually, I think, works really, really well where it's slotted mid-July. To me, it's all right, do I want to be spending all this money to then go into August, September, October, October, where there's like at least 3-4 games each of those months, if not more. I mean, some of these months have like 4, 5, 6 games that I'm interested in. Do I really want to spend money in July when August, September, October, I'm going to need like 5 wallets, for the games that I want? That's, those two things mixed together. It was never really on my bulletin board. I was going to skip it to do Metroid and Pokemon. And then also, like, I was just planning on the August, September, October games. Those two things combined have always made me think, I'll just pass it. But it does look really fun. I think my plan probably still even right now is to kind of just wait it out, see. I mean, the reviews, like, look, I mean, I don't know how much I even trust reviews, but I mean, if this game is getting very high 8s, low 9s, they're talking about as like an ultimate platformer, like a system seller, a must buy for the Switch 2, maybe that moves the needle. It definitely has moved. So like, okay, I'm legitimately interested. I don't know 100% if I'll get it, but I'm definitely more that way than I was, honestly, even like 2, 3, 4 days ago. Okay, so let me know what you guys think about the game in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.